Hey everyone, and welcome to another live session of the Type Convo. It's early morning here in Barcelona and quite early morning, but today it's a bit different time zone because I will be joined by a type designer, a really good one from the other side of the world. And he's joining from a much better weather, I guess. 25 degrees, I think, right now in Byron Bay, in Australia. And so let's say hi to Tom Cunningham. You probably know him through his type studio, and that's Tropical Type. He has been doing amazing work so far, and in just a couple of years, he really rose to the top of type design. He's celebrating 7 years of his typography studios, so let's give him a warm welcome.
Hello.
Hi, Tom. How are you?
Hey, mate. How you doing?
I'm trying to still wake up a bit, but it's okay. How about you? How was the day?
Good. It's been a good day. Yeah, I'm just kicking back. Got the kids to bed. I'm drinking a beer, so I'm ready to roll. Yeah, it's
That's,
Friday evening, Friday night, so time to party.
yeah, that's a good line then. Yeah, I was just saying like it's quite rainy weather here in Barcelona for the past couple of months and much warmer in Australia, right?
Yeah. It's this time of year. It's kind of like the never-ending summer. It's hot and humid. It's wet, but it's hot, and yeah, we're kind of looking forward for it to cool down a little
Okay.
bit. But yeah, it's good here. It's always good.
That's amazing. Well, happy birthday to your foundry. It's
Thank you.
7 years. It's quite a lot of time, you know. Most businesses just stop after a year or two. So congrats on keeping it for 7 years and doing a really great job.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's been a lot has changed in the world of design and the world of type design in 7 years. That's for sure. It feels like a lifetime ago.
Yeah, that's quite true, you know. That's true. What changed for tropical type from the beginning to now? How things evolved?
Well, I mean, at the beginning, we were. I mean, when I always say we, it's one of those things where you kind of want to sound more professional. You say we, but it's me. Basically, it's just me. But the company, there's a few other bits and pieces. But yeah, it's been a lot has changed. Like I basically didn't even have when I started for many years, almost probably 4 years, I didn't even have a website. We were just
Oh,
putting out fonts onto third-party resellers like Creative Market and things. And I didn't, even though I was selling fonts, I didn't really have a business. I just had I guess I was just a font designer, not really a business owner. And I guess now it's kind of the opposite. I'm not doing a whole lot of designing these days. I'm just kind of running the business, which is kind of yeah. I mean, it's all changed.
yeah. It's I am working on my first website, so yeah, after also well almost 7 years now. So I understand that part, but it's definitely a lot more business work than design work. So I get that point definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how did it start for you? Tell us a bit more. What happened before Tropical Type? How did you start it? Why did you do it?
Look, for a long time, I was just basically a surf bum, just like a hippie kid who was traveling and backpacking and surfing and didn't want a real job. And it wasn't until I met my wife that I kind of decided that I needed to do something with my life. So the only things I really liked were art and music. So I decided to go to design school to become a graphic designer. And I basically, straight out of design school, I got a full-time job as a graphic designer. I was working in like an office building in Byron Bay, so it wasn't too bad, but it was still like an office building where you were started at 9 and you finished at 5. And it was the first time I'd had a real job where I had to kind of show up at a certain time. And I absolutely hated it. I just hated the routine and the jobs. I learned a lot. I learned so much about, what actually it means to be a graphic designer, how to set files up for print, how to do all the technical stuff. You learn so much stuff in design school, but you don't really learn anything until
Yeah.
you actually get out in the workplace. So um, I did that for a year, and I just hated the routine. So I decided to quit and go freelance. And at the time, that was pretty scary because I think I had my first kid on the way, and
Oh, wow.
um, and a mortgage to pay. I just bought a house, and I was just like, in all this debt. So it was a kind of a scary thing to kind of go out on my own and do my own thing. But being a small town, a lot of the clients that I was working with in my old job kind of came with me, and I started freelance designing. So I started doing a lot of work. Um, and obviously, when you're working in a small town, the pay is never that good, right? So you can't charge a whole lot. You maybe can charge 100, $120 to design a poster or something. So to like cut costs and save time, I started using pre-designed graphics. So I'd go on Creative Market, I'd find a graphic that I liked. Instead of spending 4 hours drawing a picture, I just grab that graphic, chuck it into a poster, and save myself a lot of time. And that's kind of when I discovered digital assets and Creative Market and things like that. And I thought, someone's making these drawings and these graphics and they're selling them and they're making money. So I thought, why didn't I just try and do that? So I started off selling graphics, just drawings, vector graphics. Then I started doing logo templates, even a few mock-ups and things like that. And it started to take off. And I realized, oh, this is much better than having graphic design clients where you're chasing invoices and you're trading your time for money, even hourly rates. So I started doing that in Creative Market, and I was looking at all the most popular products on Creative Market, and they all were fonts. The whole top 50 top products were all fonts. And I realized there's much more money in fonts, because not most people aren't going to use a pre-designed graphic. They're going to design from scratch, but everyone from the, stay-at-home mum starting a small business all the way up to the top agencies in the world, everyone's using fonts. So I realized there's a bit of money in fonts. So I tried my luck and I downloaded Font and I played around with some ideas, and it took off basically straight away, because at the time, the quality of the fonts, there was just big gaps in the market of things that weren't covered, like there was, and the way they were presented was very hard to kind of see. Like, no, the previews were just basically like A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3. Here's the font. If you like it, use it. They weren't in mock-ups. They weren't, didn't have like laid out in nice layouts and things. So I thought, you know what, I want to try and display my fonts in a nice way. My fonts are no good because I just started, but maybe if I can display them nicer than other people, then I can sell more than other people. And that's what I started doing. And it really took off that way, because everyone was just basically just sticking their font up saying, if you like it, come buy it, which is kind of, what the big guys do these days, but not everyone has that creativity to see how it would look in place. So I started out with that, and then over time the fonts sold a lot more than all the mock-ups and the graphics and things. And I decided, there was one day when I just emailed all my clients and I just said, you know what, thanks for using me, but you're going to have to find yourself a new graphic designer now. And that was a pretty special day to know that I didn't have to answer to anyone or any emails in the morning, you know?
Yeah, that was quite a bit of a change for me as well. I mentioned it previously, like I don't know, 2015, 16, I was replying like 200 emails a day. And in 2018, when I started also uploading graphics and templates on Creative Market, there were no emails. You know, you wake up and there's nothing in your inbox except just like the sales you had overnight,
Yeah.
and it was so refreshing and so good. Yeah. But it was really cool to me that you started in 2017 with uploading things on Creative Market, and I started a year later. But in a year, you were already like in the top of the game of on Creative Market, as you say. All the popular fonts, there were so many of yours, and that was so cool. You know, like in a year, you jumped all the way to the top. So that's really amazing.
Yeah, well, I kind of I had a few things that really took off, and one of the things was I think the first ligature font I did was called Hunter, and before that I'm not going to say I invented ligatures or anything like that. Obviously, they've been around forever in a more practical sense, but no one was really doing them in a font. A few people had done things like that in like logos, you know, where they kind of joined letters
Yeah, yeah.
for an effect, but no one had really done it in fonts. So when I put out that first ligature font, um, that just took off like crazy, and I could have never imagined how kind of big that trend would get, even still to this day around the
Yeah.
world.
Still
No,
to this day. Yeah.
as far as I know, I could be wrong. No one had really done that in a typeface before. Um, so yeah, I think that was huge. I mean, those I did a few more ligature fonts after that, but they really took off, and they were just kind of everywhere. And then other people started doing them, and then it became basically its whole a whole genre, really.
Yeah, yeah. I loved one of your first Grange fonts. It's a really cool one. I'm have it open right now, and it's really different from all the fonts you could see in 2017, 18. So I definitely see like the appeal of people and why they actually bought, and it's really, really great what you did. Um, but as someone who's not having like a standard typography education, how was it for you to learn it all by yourself?
Um, it was it was fine because I've never been the kind of person who really cares about rules or perfection. Um, I've always I, I've always just gone, oh, I've got an idea, here it is, put it out to the world, you know. And I've always been more interested in the kind of ideas and the designs around it, and I'm not particularly interested in being, you know, the kerning to be, you know, 1,000% and all the anchor points to be absolutely perfect, because I just felt like, I mean, that stuff is important, but it it's not the be all and end all. I just was more interested in the ideas, and it's one of those things. I remember I was speaking to David Carson once, famous graphic designer, and he
Yeah.
said, um, someone asked him, they said, "Oh, do you like when do you decide to break all the design rules?" And he said, "I never really learned them in the first place." And,
Well,
and for me, it's probably something similar with typography. You know, like when I was designing fonts, you know, didn't know that italics had to be slanted like this. I didn't know that your serifs should never be to a perfect point. Um, so I just did whatever I felt looked cool, and and maybe that's how I just kind of, yeah, that's how I just kind of put them out in the world, and I wasn't too worried about stuff. You know, there's a lot of different types of font designers. You know, there's um, people like Harbour from that creative, or Jen Wagner, who are really like defining their craft. Going to like to the best type schools and learning from the best people, and really making like beautiful, perfect fonts, and like really kind of elevating their skill set. And there's people like Victor from Type Design Class, who know like all the history behind fonts, and all the degrees and angles, and everything should be set, and like follows all rules. And yeah, and then I'm kind of like the opposite. I'm just trying to have fun with it, trying to be creative, and then put it out there. Like I'm never going to be the the most professional type designer, most you know exceptional type designer, but I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in just doing fun, creative stuff and putting things out there. And I kind of my whole philosophy on life is just like, if it's not fun, why are you doing it? So I just try to have everything, put it out there, and if people love it, they love it, and if they don't, they don't. But yeah, I'm not trying to become the best type designer in the world. I'm just trying to have a good time being
Oh,
creative.
that's one way to do it, and if it works, and it obviously works, so yeah, why not? I loved the thing about you is that um, most of your typefaces were kind of different from what you already had on the marketplaces, and you were always like not really following trends, but making different things and making different kind of fonts, from thin serif with ligatures to bold sans serifs. And it's really great for me to see people who do like all different kinds of things. It's not just, oh, I'm making elegant serif fonts and that's what I will do until the end of my life. So it's really, that diversity is really, really cool what you do.
Yeah, well, I guess it's just part of me trying to keep interested. Keep trying different things. And a lot of time when I start a font, I don't even know where it's going to end. I'm just playing around with shapes and different things. So I'm not like even setting out to make a serif or a sans serif. I'm just
Okay.
literally around with abstract shapes, and I'll end up with a letter. And then that letter kind of looks cool. And then I kind of work out what's the next letter, and play around with them. So it's like the whole thing is very kind of abstract and fluid, and it just kind of takes on a life of its own, and it ends up how it ends up. My only key thing is that it hopefully it looks cool at the end.
Well, they all do. Yeah, they all do. Um, you mentioned a few times like you do fast fonts, and there's more usually just one weight, but you've done a couple of multi-weight fonts. But from someone who was like um, trying to appeal to the smaller people, small designers, you actually went all the way back to the biggest stars in the world, and Billie Eilish, Ed Sheeran, and the Kardashians, and Adobe using your fonts. So, how did that feel when you saw your fonts and on TV and everything?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's very cool. It's kind of a trip. It's like I'm always like, I did that. I did that. So I'm just like, it's kind of it's a nice validation, and but it's for me. I'm Well, I do like the cool celebrity stuff. I like seeing it on TV. Um, for me, I've always the concept of fast fonts. First of all, is because I don't have the patience to spend a whole year designing a typeface with multiple weights and multiple styles and things like that. I just get bored too quickly. So the idea of fast fonts is like, yeah, you're not going to write a book with these fonts. You're going to use them for a poster or a logo or a heading or something. So you're not going to need to have a variable font. You're not going to need to have all those weights. And that's part of my business. Because I can only have one weight. Sometimes we're just doing a caps case, It means I can put them out quickly, but also I can sell them at a price that everyone can afford. Um, because like when I started graphic design, I was like, wow, look at all these cool fonts. And then I was like, oh, that one costs 600 euros. I was
Yeah.
like, I don't have 600 in my bank for my whole life, like I can't afford those things. So I was always conscious of pricing my fonts cheap and how I could make that kind of financially possible by not doing too many weights. But I've always been interested in the kind of the I don't know how to explain it, but like the kind of lower class of graphic design, like the people who are just out there doing the work that needs to be done. Like, I guess it's maybe something about like being from Australia or being from a small town where I find the kind of top end of graphic design a bit pretentious and a bit kind of snooty. And I'm more interested in designing for and hanging out with the people who are just working in their bedroom or working in their office and just getting stuff done because I just those all those design agencies where everyone's wearing turtlenecks and they give each other awards and all that stuff. It just no, it just never really resonates with me particularly. So I'm kind of more interested in hanging out with the working class designers and designing for them as well.
Oh, that's really cool. And you also wrote an article for Creative Boom about that,
Yeah.
like about the standard designers work from home that, like are not part of the big fancy agencies in Paris and London and New York. So how was the writing articles felt for you?
Uh, that's good. Yeah. Writing something I really enjoy doing, something different to type design, and it's kind of very creative. I guess I'm kind of a bit of an overthinker, so I've got a lot of opinions. Um, so I really like that. The main thing about that article was the fact that when you go on Instagram or like big agencies' website, you just see all these awards, awards, awards. They're winning awards. They're going to conventions. They're all hanging out, and it can kind of feel like, how come I'm not in that crew? How come I never won an award? How come I've never done that kind of stuff? So that article was more about all those awards are bought and paid for. They're all you've got to pay for those awards. Like they're there to make money, and your business doesn't need all that stuff. It's all just kind of ego driven fluff. So yeah, it was more for the yeah, for all the working class designers that the the award is be able to pay your rent and feed your kids and have a career in design. It doesn't all that other stuff is useless really.
Yeah, yeah. No, when you mentioned paying, yesterday I was like, I stumbled upon an Instagram like, we are looking for design work to typefaces you released in the last year and like sign up for this award. And I was, okay, like I'm going to like give it see what's going on and give it a try. And then at the end of the process, when you submit everything, that it's like $300. Like, am I really paying just to be, just for you to look at my work? I mean, seriously, it's kind of not what the award should be in the end. I mean, I understand they have these famous judges and they have to pay someone and they have work to do, but it's kind of not, like what you imagine like those awards should be, in the end, paying for those, it's not, I don't know, feels a bit off to me as well.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like there's a big divide. Like there's almost like two different industries. There's the big design agencies that work with the big clients and they're like in their own world, and then there's the rest of us who are just doing different things. And sometimes they overlap a little bit. Sometimes I've done some fonts for YouTube and a few other like really big companies here and there, but mostly they don't really overlap that much. And and that's fine. And you know what I've realized is there's the big end town is like this big, and then the rest of the design industry is huge. So if I'm making fonts, I'm making $16 fonts for like the 99% of the design industry that can't doesn't have the budget for $600 fonts.
Yeah.
And that's why that works, right? Selling cheap. You got to sell a volume, but you're appealing to a lot more people.
Oh, that's really good. Um, I would say your fonts are quite innovative. Where do you find inspiration for those?
Sorry, what was that last word you said?
Where do you find inspiration for the fonts?
Um, kind of, kind of everywhere. I'm kind of always looking for inspiration. I've just got like an infinite amount of ideas in my head. Like I kind of wish my brain had an off switch sometimes because I'm just like, it's not just fonts, it's like art and music and design and interior design and everything. Like it's just like constantly churning. But the a lot of probably yeah, a lot of like probably one different thing that I do that maybe other people don't do is I just give myself time to create with no kind of set goals in plan. I could maybe just get a pen and a paper and just start scribbling or drawing. Maybe I'll put some music on, have some beers, maybe open just a blank slate. I'll spread my artboard on Illustrator to like as far as you can spread your artboard, like as many
Yeah.
pixels wide as you get it. So there's no borders and it's just empty space. And I'll start drawing and I'll move here and I'll move here. And by the end of it, it just looks like the work of a crazy person. But just kind of drawing abstract shapes and things. And then I'll maybe turn it upside down, flip it around. And I'm just kind of trying to, you know, pull out like an interesting curve or an interesting, you know, shape or something that just is kind of different and that could look cool. So I'm kind of very abstract with it, and then I'll just have artboards on the Illustrator of just different just shapes. And if anyone looked at it, they this person's crazy, but somewhere in there is a good idea for a font, you know.
Okay.
But
We have a question. Go on, go on.
then all but sometimes I do like I've got an old book here like of older fonts like especially 60s and 70s kind of inspired stuff, because I am like a hippie and I am a surfer and like I kind of do like that kind of 60s 70s era. So I try and I do look at those kind of curves and things and see how I can create something similar with that kind of same nostalgic feel. I think like recently a lot of stuff I've been doing is got a lot of nostalgia to it.
Yeah, I have noticed that definitely. We had a question here. What's a favorite playlist and your go-to beer?
Oh, uh playlist. Oh, it's everything. It's like it's usually kind of something jazzy, kind of trippy, kind of just like not really um, anything too many vocals or anything. Just like a vibe. I'm just kind of after the vibe. So just like a nice kind of groove, like some 60s music, or just something that kind of I like to set the mood, for creativity. So like nothing too heavy, but nothing too boring. Just kind of like some kind of funky, jazzy kind of jams, really. Uh,
Okay.
and then beers, all kinds, all kinds.
All kinds of.
They're very useful for inspiration. I feel like um, the yeah, it's just like I'm sure people have other ways, coffees or smoking joints or something, but yeah, just one or two is just just get you in that kind of mood. I mean, the other thing too is just going outside, being in the kind of playing with ideas, and then going out from the office, exercising, being in nature, surfing, being in the ocean, that's kind of when the idea is you've kind of you've kind of played with all the ideas in your office and you go out and then one of them stands out into your head or something. There's something about you got to
Yeah.
do the work, you got to do the work, but then when you're away from your desk is really when something goes. I've got so many notes on my phone. I'm like, yes, this is a good idea. Put this in my phone.
Oh, that's really cool. That's amazing. Yeah. Um, recently, well, last year, you worked with your son on a new font, which I loved, by the way. It was really, really cool, you know. And how did you come up with the idea? What went through your head, and how did it work in the end?
So another David Carson story was um, I was listening to him speak, and he said the thing he hated the most was when adults tried to do kids typography. So when you'd see an ad for a kid's toy or a kid's something with kids writing, but you could tell it was done by an adult. And he said, there's a billion kids in the world. Just if you want something to look childish, just let a child do it. You'll never be as good as a child at doing childish lettering. And I think I'd already always remembered that. I thought that was such a great thing. But yeah, I think my son one time he really wanted a metal detector. He was really into treasure and pirates and things like that. He was only 5, and he wanted to save up some money. And I was like, well, I don't want to have a spoiled kid growing up. I want a kid to know the worth of earning something. I was like, well, you earn some money. We talk about ways to earn money. And I was like, you know what? Why don't you design a font? Because he's always weird to explain to your kids what you do for a job. They're like, you just draw letters. It's kind of hard.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, why don't you try and design a font, and I'll kind of digitize it, and we'll see how it goes. And so yeah, that was basically it. I kind of at the time he was learning to write, so it was perfect. We were doing
Yeah.
our ABCDs. He was learning to do handwritings just in kindergarten. So yeah, it was perfect. So I was like, you know what, we'll put this out there, and there'll be a use for it. People want.
Definitely, definitely. Yeah.
It's not. It's never going to be a hit, but it'll definitely. Some people might, and I'm trying. It probably only took maybe 6 being on the site, and he had his well, maybe $200-300 metal detector, and we're down on the beach in the afternoons digging up treasure. We found all sorts of cool stuff. So yeah, big
Oh,
win that one.
I can only imagine how happy he was with that. So
Yeah, yeah, he loved it. He loved it. He tells people, he tells grandma or his teacher saying, I designed a font. And they're like, what? Like, yeah.
yeah. uh, that's super cool. Yeah, it's an idea what I could do with my nephew this year. I have a nephew, small one, 7 years. He comes every year here for vacation, and yeah, it's an interesting idea what to do this year.
Yeah. Well, the fact that you can kind of digitize for them and then they can press the buttons and see their letters, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, yeah,
It's a lot of
yeah. That's super cool. Um, somehow it doesn't feel like an interview without asking, like, what are your thoughts about AI? I mean, it's evolving so fast, and I've seen like the ChatGPT already like making letters based on other people's letters, and I don't think we are still like in danger, but what are your thoughts about it?
Yeah, I mean, it's super scary. They say AI is the worst it's ever been. It's only going to get better and better and better and better. And that recent ChatGPT update, because when it first came out, the typography was unreadable, and
Yeah, yeah.
now it's really good. And it's been 2 years or something. So what's it going to be in another 2 years? It's going to be way better. So for sure, like it's a real threat. And there's so many kind of like moral and ethical and copyright dilemmas. Like for sure, it's been trained off your and my work, like, and there's nothing we can really do about it. So yeah, it's kind of, I feel like you need to have like a kind of healthy fear of it, but like don't let it bring you down. You've got to be aware that it's something that's going to happen in the future. And the thing is, no one 100% knows how it plays out. So everyone's got the different opinions, but no one really knows the answer. It's just a kind of a wait and see. And you can't just totally ignore it and say everything AI sucks, and because like evolution is going to happen, technology advances are going to happen, like going to happen. So we just kind of got to see how it eventuates. Like obviously, best case scenario is that it just, it turns all my display fonts into like multi-weight variable fonts for me with one click of a button,
Yeah.
and does heavy lifting and does none of the creativity. That would be amazing. But more likely, it's gonna disrupt. So yeah, it's to worry. But I try not to
Not think about it too much, and yeah.
keep on with things. But I mean, there's, like my local design school, not the one I went to, but just one here in Byron Bay. I think they had like 10 people signed up for their graphic design program, when they used to get hundreds,
Oh wow.
because it's like, is it a good idea to start right now? Like,
Yeah.
like I think for a few of us who, I've kind of had this business for a while now. It's I guess it's scarier the younger you are. If you're just starting graphic design, or if you're just starting in type design, it's going to be a huge part of your career, AI. So
Yeah.
it's probably more of a worry. I hear some people, like super famous graphic designers who are in their 50s saying, "Oh, don't worry about it." And it's like, well, it's easier for you to say. You've got a reputation for things. Um, so, so yeah, and yeah, obviously the the kind of ethical side of it, like all these AI companies are breaking the law. They're all stealing stuff to train their data, and they just
So true.
play with it. So there's a few people who say that it's just a tool, just like a camera, just like Photoshop. I totally disagree with that. I think sure it's a tool at the moment, but its capabilities are a million times of what the difference between painting, camera, or stuff like that is. Like it will at some point replace creative,
Yeah. I should just
maybe, but it'll replace creative jobs.
well, I think so as well. In a time, not today or tomorrow, but with time, it definitely. I mean, Adobe just yesterday, I think, or the day before, released an update for Premiere Pro that allows you to like expand the video, and it just like if you want to make your vertical video like wide, he'll just add everything around with a couple of clicks, and a lot of platforms you just make a video with your words with the inputs. So yeah, I mean, it could be a real well danger for the new designers. Some of those who are longer in the industry, they have hundreds of clients and everything, and it will be way slower. But for the new people, it will be harder and harder, I think, as well.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my biggest fear would be that someone curates an AI font generator, and you can pop out a kind of display font every, you know, every minute. You can just go, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this, and it just kind of floods the market to the point where kind of prices tank,
Yeah,
and and
yeah,
it doesn't need to. It just needs to get to the point where it kind of um, floods the market, and then you know, then we're all in a bit of trouble. But even though I'm kind of, yeah, I even though I'm kind of, I wouldn't say I'm pessimistic, but I wouldn't say I'm optimistic either. You know, the history has shown that human beings are, are kind of easily corrupted and easily looking for the cheapest way to make money,
true.
and kind of and things like that. So um, yeah, I kind of I think about it as the same way I think about sharks. Like I surf every day in the ocean in a very sharky place of the world, and I'm out there in the morning in the dusk on my own, and I think I've got a healthy fear. It's not going to stop me living my life, but I'm well aware that one day it might.
Yeah, they are right there. Okay, no, that's pretty cool. I mean, the part with the sharks and with surfing, not losing our jobs to AI. Yeah. Um, have you? I think you did, but have you collaborated with other type designers, and how did that turn out?
It was good. Yeah, I mean, I've collaborated with two type designers. One was actually kind of a hand letterer who turned into a type designer called Laura Bennett, who did these beautiful kind of hand lettered Roman style serifs. And another one was Harbour from that creative, who's very good at variable fonts. And the
Okay.
one thing I hate making lots of weights and variable fonts. So I did all the kind of creative stuff, and he did all the heavy lifting. And we made a font called Honeycomb, which is, I think, 20 weights variable
Oh,
font.
wow.
It's kind of an alternative to Helvetica or Arial. It kind of starts off pretty clean, and then as the variable spreads and it gets bolder and wider, it kind of gets more radical. But yeah, those are the two that I have. And I guess just more recently at the moment, I've been not really, I wouldn't really, well, I probably would call it collaborating, more just working with some Indonesian designers, um, and kind of getting them to do a bit more of the heavy lifting, and
Okay.
me more of an art director kind of role, which is fun because you get to do the creating, but
Yeah,
do all the work.
that's true. Yeah, the more people, there's more like business work and everything. So that's true.
Yeah, yeah. I think like 7 years in, my biggest advice to anyone who's trying to make fonts and sell fonts is they're two different things. They're two different skills.
Definitely.
Making a font is a good skill, and selling a font and running a business is a totally different skill. And I've had to learn the second one the hard way.
Yeah, well, it's same for me. I mean, designing is way easier, but like having a real business and having a successful business is a whole other world of different things and different apps, paperwork, and whatever you want, you know.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, I guess that's the one thing that us creatives don't really like
No,
doing. We just want to make our art and put it out there. We don't want to care about like website optimization and marketing budgets
yeah,
and all,
so true.
pricing and licensing. For me, the biggest pain in font design is licensing, because I just hate paperwork, and I hate rules. but I got to have
Okay.
licenses. Um, so I try and keep them as simple as possible because I know that's a big issue for a lot of people who are buying fonts. Complicated licensing, if you're a big company and you're buying a font, you've got a lawyer and you can do all that stuff. That's all well and good, but some
Yeah.
people, I saw the other day, I was looking up Monotype's licensing agreement, and they have a podcast to explain it.
Oh, wow.
If you wanted to buy a font and you had to listen to a podcast just to understand which license you wanted to buy, just to use
Yeah.
it for your or something, it's craziness. So yeah, I try and keep everything simple. Like if you like a commercial license is you buy it for your business, you can use it for a business. Like there's print, web, socials. I just try and combine it all for the usefulness of the client, but also just to save headaches for me. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's working.
that's good. Yeah. So 7 years, how does it feel like to have a typography business for 7 years?
It feels cool. I still have to explain it to my friends and family. They're no
Still?
closer to understand what I do.
Yeah, I know the feeling. I know the feeling.
I'm like, so alphabets, they all look different, right? And you can choose different ones on Microsoft Word, and someone draws those different ones. Um, so mostly I just say I run a graphic design business.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but I'm no closer to cracking that one. But yeah, it feels good. I'm kind of proud that I've got this far, and that there's been like I used to 95% of my income used to come from creative market. At some point, it would have been 100% of my income, and
Wow.
and then after a few algorithm changes and a few really bad decisions by the in being bought and sold and CEOs changing of creative market,
Yeah, yeah.
I lost basically all my income. One
Oh, wow.
one algorithm changed. I can't remember what year it was. My income dropped by 90%. And I had at the time it was going pretty good. I had like sponsor kids in third world countries that were like, giving money to and stuff. And I was like, what's happening? I've just lost I've lost my income, but I've lost like ability to help other people and stuff as well. So like I think that was the time where I scrambled together a Shopify website, and I realized that I can't kind of have my business in control, other people controlling it. I need to have kind of ownership, and that was realized that all right, my e-commerce store is where I got to put all my attention. And sure, I can still sell stuff or with Monotype or Creative Market, a few other places, but really I've got to put all my effort into what I can control, which is my website, which is now it's 90% of the income for the business. So yeah, it's just been a massive change, and there's been some times where I've thought I might have to go get a real job, and then I'll be able to pull myself out of it. So yeah, I'm kind of happy that I still make a living out of it. And to me, it's just the flexibility is the big thing, not having to be at a certain job at a certain time. Like I'll come up, do a bit of work, I'll go down, have lunch with my kids. I might, go out and kick the soccer ball with the kids. I might come back in, like if the surf's good, I can surf, do some work at night. It's just like I just love the flexibility that it brings. So that's the kind of biggest perk. I think once you work for yourself for so long, it must be so hard to go back to a job where you have a boss. I just
Yeah,
couldn't imagine
I
doing.
can only imagine. Yeah. Yeah,
I'd
definitely.
rather I'd rather go I'd rather go live in my caravan and rent out my
Yeah,
house
then
than have to get a job, you know. So
yeah, totally. I totally understand it. I mean, I don't think I could at this point, after so many years of being like my own boss, I don't think I could. Yeah. I mean, have someone else telling me like and doing just some basic things, I don't think I would be able to.
yeah, yeah, it's good.
Right.
It's I mean, it's not always an easy life, but
No.
having to balance all the plates and do everything on your own. But it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, I also say that. Um, you have a huge deal for the seventh birthday of Tropical Type on your website. So want to tell us more about it, about what to the people who are listening and
Yeah. So forever, people have just been like, "We like all your fonts. We love all your fonts. Can we just get them in one bundle?" And I've always kind of been hesitant to do that because I thought, well, if someone buys everything, they're never going to come back, right? They've got everything
right.
I have.
So,
Uh, but uh, now having the sale, I thought I need to do something different. Like, what can I do that's different for the sale to get people in? And also turning on my business brain, I'm thinking, all right, if my average order is $40 or something like that, and I have 1,000 people or how people come to the store, what if my average order was way higher? How do I do that? So now, well, if I sell everything in a big bundle together, then my average order goes up, so my income goes up, and the discount for people who are buying it goes up. So everyone wins. Everyone wins in the short term. In the long
yeah,
term,
yeah.
I'm I'm not 100% sure it's a great business decision, but we will wait and see. But
Oh,
yeah,
man.
but also I want to give good deals to people. I'm super thankful for everyone who's ever bought anything from Tropical Type, and it's given me an income and a job for 7 years. So um, I want to give people give back to people and give them good deals. And obviously, I also have like I don't know 5 or 6 free fonts on the website as well. If people don't have any money at all, they can get them for free and use them fully commercial for whatever they want. So yeah, I
That,
think it's a
that's
win-win.
amazing. Yeah. Well, I will not keep you much longer. I have a lot more questions, but it's already past an hour, and yeah. What's one advice you would give to other people, other designers, not just about design, but like if you could give just one advice, what would it be?
Um, you got to be having fun with what you're doing. If you're not, it's what I've learned in my life. If you're not having fun, then it'll show in your work. If you're not, if you're up on Instagram every day trying to promote something that you don't, and your heart's not in it, it'll show. And like life is life is very, very short. And you realize that when you have kids, and you realize that when people die. And, you might get to 85, 90 if you're lucky, if you're very lucky. Um, so life is very short. So don't spend it doing something, that you don't love. You love creativity, be creative. Yeah, that would be my biggest advice.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's definitely a good one, and I agree with it. Definitely, it's if you really don't like what you do, try to change a job or, I mean, other people. And yeah, because it's quite different when you like what you do and you don't wake up every morning like dragging yourself like to get ready and hating every single moment of your day. So
Yeah. I mean, another one too would just be like, we are really like creative people are really, we're designers, right? We're designing fonts, we're designing graphics, we're designing things. I think there's a lot to be said about designing your life, you know, expand instead of just ending up where you end up, or sit back and think about like what you want to do and what you got to do to get there, and kind of strategize and plan it out. Like, okay, I want freedom to go surfing every day. Okay, how do I do that? Like, oh, maybe I can sell fonts. A lot of people just kind of float through life, and things happen. Like, all right, this has happened. All right, now I moved here, or now I'm working here. But they don't really sit back and think about the overall picture and what they want as a whole, and then kind of reverse engineer how to get there. I think that's worked well with me. You've got to you're never gonna get where you want to go unless you actually, you know,
Know what you want.
yeah,
Yeah.
sign it, try and, get where you want to go.
Oh, I love that. That's really good. Well, thank you, Tom, for joining me today. It was like early morning for me, like evening for you, but we managed to do it. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for all your creative work. You've been an inspiration really for so much time. And thank you from other designers. Thank you for providing fonts that are not $600. So yeah, it was a pleasure talking to you, and let's see what happens in the next 7 years.
Yeah, wow. If we could make 7 more years, there would be a crazy life. And I just wanted to say to you, obviously, congratulations with your foundry. Like, there was a time where kind of creative market boomed, and it's it's definitely not selling fonts has never been harder. Really, there's more people in the game doing it. There's so many people doing it. There's so much competition. There's so much saturation. So I think when Nikki Latz and me and Jen and Sam and everyone would had some popular fonts, it was an easier time. And for you now, I see you're all over the front page of Creative Market. You're like of Creative Market. So for you having your time now, when it's much harder than it ever has been, that just shows that all you've been putting into your studio, and all the different styles you have, man. And every time a new one comes out, I'm like, wow, that's getting better and better. And it's just like, you can see like you're having the success, and you deserve it. So it's like, for anyone who get into type, I mean, it's your proof that like it's still doable, and you've just got to you know follow what you're doing because it's working.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't understand how much work there is, and you probably as well with doing nights and doing longer shifts and sometimes 14 hours a day. But it's in the end, as you said, it's worth it because I can go to the beach whenever I want. I don't have a boss who will tell me, uh, you don't have 3 days. And you say that for yourself as well. You can go play with your kids literally whenever you want to do. So I believe it's worth it, even the hard work. And so it pays off.
Yeah, totally agree. Yep,
Okay.
been fun.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been definitely fun and different perspectives. So thank you for that. And yeah, we'll definitely chat more, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I hope everyone who's listening along has been interested or learnt something. So,
Yeah, I definitely agree. Thank you, Tom, and see you out there. Good luck.
okay, thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.